Good afternoon, everybody. I know this is unnecessary, but it's me. It's me, Mitch, and it's Saturday afternoon, and I love that music. God, I love that music. I could keep that going all the time, but I think, well, maybe you wouldn't get tired of it. Good to see everybody. Starting to come in. We're up to almost 40 people so far. Not a bad start right away. I was a little slow on the countdown button this afternoon. I was busy in the green room talking to Ellen about this, that, and the other thing. And we always talk for a few minutes before the stream and get so used to starting on the hour, exactly on the hour, no countdown like I do in the morning streams. That just kept talking and talking, and I looked and I see 5 till on it. So, aren't I supposed to be doing something about now? So I gave Ellen the bum's rush and got the countdown started. So you didn't get quite as much music today as you usually do. I have no cigars, so no excuse to play music during the stream. So you just have to tune in tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, 8:30 for morning coffee, and we'll take it back. And those morning coffee streams are going so much better than I ever thought that they would. We got a real regular crowd of people that come in and they stay till the end. I get great questions. I get a chance to really give what I think are some pretty unique answers to some of these questions. And I appreciate it, and I have a great time. It's kind of almost replaced these afternoon and evening live streams as my favorite thing on YouTube right now. It has become that morning live stream. So I appreciate you all coming in there. There's just something about it, like a breakfast club type atmosphere almost. And I get to puff on a cigar. I get to be among people that are non-judgmental. The judgmental ones have long since gone away. Thank you. But I'm tickled. I'm tickled and thrilled at the reception and the way it's going. So thank you, all you guys that do come in there in the morning. And I understand that for a lot of you it is way too early, but a lot of people from Europe do come in and seem to enjoy it. And one of those people from Europe, well, I'll tell you about Touramere Carnivore in a second, but I've got, you know who, I've got Ellen, the boss. I've got Ellen, I don't want her to hear that. I got Ellen, the boss, sitting in the green room, and let me bring her in, and we'll let Ellen say hello.
Yeah, the boss. I don't know.
You heard that? I tried to be quiet about it.
Oh, yeah, don't let him fool you with that. Hey, Mitch. And hey, everybody.
I can't get away with anything with this woman. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
What a lucky gal I am that I get to see you twice on Saturday, as well as most of my friends here in the chat.
Wow.
This is
I'm glad you consider yourself lucky. There are some women that would think it was more like slavery, but I'm glad you're having... I'm glad, and Ellen and I have a real understanding, and that real understanding is that if this stops being fun for her and she stops looking forward to it, then she has to stop doing it. There's no obligation whatsoever to me, and I don't want you to think there isn't.
Yeah.
She just seems to enjoy this as much as I enjoy it, which for some strange reason.
And just so people know, I do have my contract. You know, I have the personal assistant and the lighting crew. Although they were not here, Mitch. My people will be in touch about that.
Right, and the caterer, he took off. He took off this morning. So then there was that, and I know I already got a call from your lawyer. But other than the contract,
I'm not cheap.
I understand. But everything is good. Ellen, calm down. Everything's great. It's great. Tell your lawyer I'm okay. It's coming. It's on the way. Whatever he asked for. So no, really.
Sometimes I like to live a little in the fantasy world.
I understand. Don't we all?
Stay there.
Don't we all?
That's the important part.
So I thank you for being here, and
Oh,
both
I'm so
Ellen
glad.
Turamir Carnivore
Yes,
he's here in the States, and he's been communicating, and he's sending me emails, and he's copying Ellen,
I know, and I
or
told him,
he's sending Ellen emails and copying me.
yes,
Either way works,
sure.
and he's been giving us a play-by-play of his trip, and there's a lot of chatting from him in there. So I
Yes,
wanted to just acknowledge all the communications. I got an email from him not too long ago, earlier this afternoon, and it said that he's finally somewhere in Idaho, and Idaho, not Iowa, but Idaho, somewhere out there near Vegas, and near Nevada, and he wanted to know what time zone I thought he was in, and I looked it up, and he's in mountain time, and I told him he's 2 hours behind us, so 8:30 here for the morning live stream would be 6:30 his time, but he's been a loyal follower of the channel on these live streams,
yes,
and it's really cool to think that now that
yeah.
he's here in the States for a couple of weeks,
Sure.
he's still chiming in, and he's here right now in this stream. So
Yes,
everybody, send him some good thoughts to be safe and have a great time. And if you see anything that about America that makes us look stupid and silly, tell him that's just the wrong side to ignore completely.
right. That's not us. But and Tiramir, I just want to say quick, as I wrote in my quick email, I have not been sitting down since this morning. So after this, I will answer your mail too. Mitch is very good. He's already very
Well, it's because Mitch doesn't have as much to do as you do. It seems.
well
It
just
seems.
today. But I'll get to you, Tiramir.
Okay. All right, Ellen. I'm going to
Put me in the
send
box.
you upstairs to the
Okay.
penthouse. Today it's the penthouse,
Penthouse.
and to the penthouse, and you can
Okay. I will
practice your lofty view over me and the chat. And I think the way we left it in our last conversation was that we were going to answer some of the leftover questions from this morning first, if they were here. If
Yes.
not, we'll
How
save
does
them for tomorrow.
that sound? Because that's what I was thinking. If they're here, we'll pull their question. Otherwise, they might just be morning people, and then we could save it for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you can keep track of that, that's terrific. Okay, so
Okay. I look forward to talking with y'all.
okay, and there you go. Okay, right there. Now, what you guys don't realize is how hard that move was to do. Because what I see on my computer screen is backwards. It's not like looking in a mirror. I'm looking at myself like somebody across from me would.
Yeah.
So left and right are reversed. So
Okay.
if I went to point to Ellen on the screen, I would do this. Because now I'm pointing to the top corner of my computer screen where Ellen is. So you learn that when you want to point, you have to think about it first. Say, let's see, she's over on that side, so I got to point to the other way, and it works.
Yeah. And that's still an art that I'm
It
still
is. It is an
learning.
art, and that explains all of the awkwardness when these people on YouTube put those messages up on the screen somewhere, and you see them go, "Yeah, just click on the link right there." I mean over there. No, I mean over there. It's hard. It's hard. And when two people are next to each other on the chat on the screen, they're always looking. When they go to look at each other, they end up looking away.
I know. I do that. I have a whole new appreciation. I'm looking at you, and I see my eyeballs are like pointing.
Yeah, they're going the other way. Yeah.
Looking at the chat, but I'll get better.
So in the morning, I say, drink it if you got it, and of course that's a standing offer. So it's time for me to have a little sip of coffee, and I just wanted to show off a new coffee cup that I really think describes me to a T. And I've added another new coffee cup to my arsenal. It was a gift. It came from Amazon, and it didn't say who it came from. So since nobody knows where to find me, I can only assume it was my crazy daughter or son, but I can't know that for sure. But somebody sent me this, and I haven't talked to either of my kids since. It says, "Of course I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice." And I saw that and I said, yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. So I'm trying to get a collection of these coffee cups where I can switch them out every morning and come up with something a little funnier, a little different. Especially my favorite one that says, "I'm a ray of effing sunshine." I don't care if it's got the F word in it. I still like that one. So let's do this. Let's do this. I don't really have a monologue today. My disclaimer hasn't changed. You know, I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice, individual medical advice. I talk about my experiences, what I do, what I've discovered, what I've learned, my insights, my own experimenting with these different things and the results they've had on me. You're free to assume that I'm a human being like you are and not an alien from another planet. So if something happens on me, more than likely it will work the same way on you. But that's something you have to assume. And I think that that should keep me out of trouble. Should keep me out of trouble. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's here. Let me go back to the beginning of the chat and we'll run through this real quick. And if you have a question for me, type 3 capital Q's, QQQ, before in the chat. And with Ellen standing guard and me kind of halfway watching while I'm trying to concentrate here, hopefully we won't miss any. But the good news is now, if we do miss some, Ellen has a record of them, and we'll address them. Hopefully the next time we see you have joined us, but at least we'll be able to address your questions, and that means it'll be in the replays of these things too. Mm-hmm. So the first one in, of course, was Tour Mayor Carnivore. Good morning from Apple Valley, Utah. I made it yesterday. My flight was delayed twice for technical reasons. I started to travel at 5:30 a.m. on Friday, and I got here to my friend's place around 1 a.m. at night. Wow. Wow. And speaking of 1 a.m. at night, don't forget, my friends, tonight at 2 a.m., set the clocks back to 1 a.m. Now, none of us are going to get up to do that, but between the time you go to bed tonight, the time you get up this morning, you get an extra hour thrown in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how screwed up we all are at 8:30 tomorrow morning. The thing I'm going to like about it is it's one less hour of dark I have to endure in the morning before my day actually starts, because I'm always up at 4:30, 5 o'clock anyway. So it'll be getting light before 6 now. Hallelujah. Now it doesn't get light till slightly before 7, when not sunrise, but when, dawn starts to break. Owen Turamir says, is he getting notifications on his phone when the live stream starts? So good. No excuses, man. You got to be here. You got to be here. And we have Michael Seeley from Tampa, United Carnivore. Good to see you. All the usual suspects always pile in here. And this is Papa Carnivore, Peter, waiting for his Saturday sermon from the Carnivore Professor. Thank you. We'll see. The sermons usually follow a good question. So, and Jesse Farmer's here. How you doing from College Station, Texas? And my buddy Boyd Lamb is talking to Turamir about jet lag. Wanda Gerling chimed in early. How you doing, Wanda? Afternoon, y'all. Good to see you in the U.S., Turamir. Another plane, other than plane delays, hope it all went well. And I really hope you have a good time. I really hope you have a good time. The vacations these days are very ambitious. I think vacations during election season in this country are extremely ambitious. So have a good time. And Ellen chimed in welcoming Turamir as well. And who do we have here? We have Satya Khalsa. How you doing? Just back from getting 12 pounds of ground beef. Wow, 12 pounds of ground beef. You're good for a while with that. Mike Seeley Sr. came in to say hello from Melbourne, Florida, father of United Carnivore. And we're still early. We're still about 15 minutes before the actual stream started. So let's see who chimed in. Terry welcomes Turamir to the USA. You didn't know you had so many friends in this country, did you? See, we are welcoming nice people after all. And then me, I chimed in and said, welcome everybody. And Spanky, golf addict, how you doing, Spanky? Good to see you. Woohoo, hi folks, how the heck are you all doing? Cheers. Yes, to all of those questions. Lynette Gray is here. How you doing, Lynette? I seem to struggle with high blood pressure doing carnivore. Do you have any guidance on this for me, please? Okay, well, that's a question. And I can give you a quick answer to that. No, not individually, because I don't know you and I don't know any other reasons why you might have high blood pressure, how long you've been doing carnivore, exactly what you're doing, what your medical history is, or anything that anybody might need to give even a educated guess as to why your blood pressure is high. I can tell you, my blood pressure, I've had hypertension all my life, most of the time on at least 2 meds, all the time. Could never bring it down. 2 things in my life have always been high, my cholesterol and my blood pressure. Turns out my high cholesterol was a good thing, but my hypertension wasn't. After a few months, and I don't take my blood, I wasn't taking my blood pressure twice a day. I would check it about once a week because, it's not going to change over the course of a few hours enough to make me feel like I've solved the problem. You have to do something and you have to give it a while. And I can tell you that most people, and from the testimony that I've gotten from most people in this group, the blood pressure normalizes. And another question that comes in is, where are you obtaining that number? Where are you getting the number from? You taking it yourself with one of these little do-it-yourself BP machines? You going to your doctor? And if you really want to know a lot about blood pressure, Ken Berry's got a couple of videos out about it. Look them up, because he talks about how everybody takes their blood pressure wrong and how you never get an accurate blood pressure in a doctor's office for so many reasons. I have never gotten an accurate blood pressure in a doctor's office in my life, primarily because, number one, you don't get a chance to relax, calm down, settle down. Number two, you're worried because you're in the doctor's office and something called white coat syndrome hits you, and I am the poster child. In fact, if you go to the dictionary right now and look up white coat syndrome, you'll see a picture of me right there, because I've had that problem ever since I got my first pilot's license back in 1970. Every time I had to go for a flight physical, the doctor had to lay me down in an examining room, turn off the light, go away, come back 15 minutes later before my blood pressure actually returned to what was normal for me, because I worry and stress, and that just shoots it right up. So you may not even have high blood pressure. If they tell you you're 136/85, that's not high blood pressure as far as I'm concerned. Because if you took the same thing first thing in the morning, the same time every day, after sitting quietly and still for 10 minutes, in the right position without crossing your legs, not talking, with your arms elevated at the level of your heart, when you were completely relaxed, your blood pressure would read normal, or you would find out what your normal blood pressure was. And mine, when I check it in the morning, about once a week I do it, is 115/65. And it's been that way for years. So whatever happens to it during the day is just a reaction to what I'm doing, whether I'm working out, worried, aggravated, whatever it is during the course of a day. Your blood pressure's all over the place. Hope I answered that question for you. Mark Booz is here. Good afternoon, Mark. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Terry says, I made sausage, eggs, and French toast. Mom wanted French toast. Smell good. Yeah, I know. It's a hard thing when you're living with somebody that makes you make the things for them that you are addicted to, and then you have to sit there and watch them eat it. You have to come to terms somehow with that, but it sure doesn't make things easy. Sure doesn't make things easy. And you're not likely to make Mom a carnivore. Lori's Carnivore Story. How you doing, Lori? Good to see you. Don Schonger checked in, says hello. And who else did I say hi to yet? We don't have a big crowd here. We only got 53 people. Surprised. Something's going on, maybe. What's going on this Saturday? Something drawing a lot of people away, or are you all just getting too much of me and getting tired of it? Terry says, I barely survived the morning coffee chat. I'm still drinking coffee. Well, nothing wrong with that. I do so many live streams that involve coffee. I very rarely ever drink a cup of coffee other than when I'm doing a live stream, because I don't really like to drink too much of the stuff. So this is my second cup of coffee. I had my first cup this morning on the live stream, and I saved the second cup for this afternoon. Cindy Braddock, how you doing from cloudy Texas? Yeah, it's a little cloudy here in Florida today, too. Less junk, more health this year. Good afternoon, Mitch, from the rainy Space Coast of Florida. Less junk, more health. You are my neighbor, then. Because I'm on the rainy Space Coast of Florida, too. Howdy, neighbor. Of course, that's a big place, but I doubt that anybody on the Space Coast is any more than, at most, an hour away from me. If you're way up north of Titusville, you'd be an hour from me. But other than that, I think you may have told me that, but I didn't know exactly. You need to come to our meetups when we have the next one here in Melbourne. Jerry Voitosh, hiya. Jerry, how you doing? From Ponte Vedra Beach in Florida, up near Jacksonville. A lot of Floridians. WMO Liberty. Hello, Mitch and friends, and hello to you, Liberty. Good to see you. And searching for a new Greg Smith is here. Hi, Gregory. There you are. How you doing? Afternoon from sunny Nevada, from sunny Pahrump, Nevada. We've gotten to know Greg pretty well. Greg's a member of the private community and has become a regular in our little panels. And man, what this guy doesn't know about meat, I'm jealous. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time last Thursday night, and he was telling us how to butcher up all these different primal cuts, like chuck eyes and loins and things like that. And he put some butchers to shame. So good to see you, Greg. Good to see you. And honestly, I do enjoy those things, because they're, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from listening to people that do that kind of stuff. It's terrific. Ellen, did you want to chime in?
No. Oh, is that because I unmuted?
Well, I heard a noise and I looked up. You've been very quiet, but I heard a noise. I thought maybe you just unmuted your mic for some reason. No problem.
If it's too noisy, I'll mute it back.
No, you can leave it. I'll tell you if I think it's
Okay. Let me know. If anyone
affecting screwing up the stream.
Okay.
Which normally doesn't happen unless you're having some connection problems, and that's not your fault. That's just.
I think that's what it was yesterday. So, well, we'll see. You'll let me know.
Okay, you got it. Now, Aunt B says 3 devices and none brought up the C box set. I have no idea what that means. Am I missing something?
No, I don't know.
B, you might want to explain that a little better for me. And I think I said hi to Mark Booz, I'm pretty sure. And B says eek. Oh, maybe that's not what she meant to type. Okay. Wow, do we have anybody I haven't said hi to yet? What time is it? Yeah, I usually like to do maybe 15 minutes of this at most in the morning, but this is a longer live stream. So, here we have DS111 is here. Bartender the usual. What a crowd, what a crowd. Turmir. Jeff Johnson. The name you know. Do you remember? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how so many things bring movie references right out of your right out of your memory? Jeff Johnson. Does that name bring up a movie reference in anybody's mind? No?
No.
Do you remember the movie with Eddie Murphy, The Distinguished Gentleman, where he ended up in Congress because his name was Jeff Johnson? The previous congressman's name was Jeff Johnson. And he ran on the platform of Jeff Johnson, the name you know. And he got elected. But that immediately popped into my head when I saw that. Jeff Johnson, how are you? Good to see you. Mitch's studio is like Command Central. Yes, it is. Look at that. Look at that. In fact, let me show you even more of it. It is basically what you need to do and control a podcast. And, when you watch Joe Rogan and when you watch Steven Crowder and you watch any of these guys, they've got 2, 3, maybe 4 guys, each one of them with an array of screens in front of them like this, controlling every aspect of what ends up on that screen, every aspect of the video, of the audio, of the collateral, the pictures, the images, the videos, the YouTube stuff that they cut in and out and away from, the text that shows up and disappears on the screen at exactly the right moment, the sound effects. It's incredible. It's like producing a TV show. So it may look elaborate, but even with all of this real estate, everything you see up there does something important for me to be able to do what I'm doing. And I mean, I like the technology. I love it. So for me, it's enjoyable to have buttons and all these things in front of me. But yeah, it does look like NASA. Looks like I'm controlling the space station or something with this thing.
Well, and think about it, Mitch. Joe Rogan needs 5 guys to do what I do.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And look at the crew that Crowder's got. Man, he has got a hell of a crew over there off to the side with all kinds of panels and mixers and buttons and audio things. And so it just doesn't get this professional by accident.
No, but you really.
I joke about that a lot. I joke about this is professional show business, ladies and gentlemen.
It is. You have a very professional setup. Hence,
with a caveat, when it works, I have because the more complicated you make it, the more times it screws up, and you'd be better off just holding up a cell phone with the selfie camera on and just doing it, just talking into the cell phone sometimes. I guess basically, if you haven't figured this out by now, that on top of everything else, I think I was maybe born to be in show business, born to be a showman, an entertainer. I just like to. I've always liked to make people laugh, and I like to entertain people too. So seems to work. At least right now, it's working for 72 people. Not a majority of the YouTube audience out there, that's for sure. But my little corner of it, anyway.
Hey, this is real showbiz. I think
real showbiz.
Appreciate it, Mitch. People do appreciate what you do.
They told you that one of the most important things you need to do is you need to get a pretty face involved.
Oh, that must be you then.
No. I got me a pretty face now. So see, what else do I need? Tell me what else I need now. So I'll go to work on that. And if somebody writes back and says, "How about a personality, Mitch?" Then we'll never hear from you again. I promise. Who did I just see? I just saw Julia Wigger. Yeah, there you are, Julia Wigger from across the pond. How you doing, Julia? Good to see you. Good to see you. Same. We're getting near the end, I think, of the new people. It was 3:01. Are you kidding me? The timestamp on this next chat entry I'm going to tell you is 3:01 p.m. So virtually all of that other stuff that we've gone through to this point happened before. Yeah. I actually hit the go live button here. So, yeah, crazy. But Jax 51, good afternoon, all. Good to see you. And we'll go through a few more. Lori Ribido, but I've got to give some people who came in after I started at least a shot. And again, I always say, but I always forget, I should start just a short, maybe a minute or two before we go live. So that way I'm more than likely to catch the people that are really here. Everybody that was here before that is probably still here. So Lori, welcome to you. Happy Saturday, everyone. And my good friend, Chris Hope. I can never say too much about Chris. Chris is a Texan, ex-drone flying buddy of mine. And every time he comes on, it makes my day and makes me smile. He's one of the kindest, most caring, considerate gentlemen, and gentleman doesn't even do it justice when you describe Chris. I value him as having been a part of my life during the drone thing and still keeping an eye on me. And he's one of the very few people in the world. Well, my birthday, I always get a text from him. Happy birthday. So thank you, Chris, and great that you could be here. And Chris has, last I heard, become a carnivore or primarily a meat eater. And he told me he'd lost a lot of weight and everything. And one of these days, buddy, I got to give you a phone call. We got to catch up. And if you don't hear from me, by God, give me a phone call. I'm never too busy to talk to you. So do that. Do that. Moorhen, Ann, how you doing? Ann is here from across the pond as well. Good to see you. Welcome. And Zeno says, hey, Mitch. I'm looking for somebody new. No, I think that the early gang was pretty much already here when we started the stream. So I don't see too many new people. So, CB Carmack, how you doing, CB? Good to see you. Glad you could make it in. 1 or 2 more minutes of me scrolling down here. I don't want to put everybody to sleep. But I see the same names. I think I said hi to Lynette Gray, but if not, I will say it now. Come on, one more new name. One more. Just one more new person. Come on. Come on. Show me somebody that I haven't said hi to. Oh, here's a question I'll get. Uh-oh, it's a Boyd Lamb question. Okay, Boyd. I know you've never had type 2 diabetes and can't speak from personal experience, but can you talk a bit about blood glucose, hyperinsulinemia, and go crazy, the Randall cycle? Holy cow, that would be a show for itself. And I'll tell you what, Ellen, make a note of that question, if you would, because that, honest to God, that is to do it justice and have time to go down. That's like a 15-part question to go down each little rabbit hole, because the Randall cycle is a video by itself. Hyperinsulinemia is a video by itself. The ramifications of blood glucose. Every one of those would be a full 1-hour Ken Berry video, and it's a lot. It's a lot to answer. It's not really an answer to a question. It's an absolute lecture on glycolysis and sugar metabolism. So I do want. I've talked about all of that stuff, and I will get to it, and we'll see. It's going to be a long live stream, so if things get a little slow later, I'll take off on that one. But that deserves almost a standalone video.
Okay. And I know I can say this because Boyd is asking it, but I know Mitch will go into the, well, what can I say, Randall cycle in a little more depth than in the real, overall meaning of it, not in such a limited way.
Well, there's so many people that have tried to explain.
Boyd, he'll get that. Okay.
There's so many people that have tried to explain the Randall cycle to people who are not biochemists. And the explanations run from the Randall cycle for dummies, like the books, the Randall cycle for dummies, which is an approach that Ben Bickman took, where he didn't get into any of the actual cellular chemistry involved and how it works, but just an overall theory of why it's there and what it does. To the other far end of the spectrum, Professor Bart Kay, who brings out charts of chemical equations and leads you through every cycle, every step of the way, where this one combines with that one, and this one blocks this receptor, which shuts off that, and shutting off that means that the supply of this isn't where it needs to be, and then the final result is your cell prioritizes fat instead of prioritizes sugar, because it can't burn both at the same time. So there's a lot of ways to look at it.
In
Pardon
my
me?
humble, in my humble experience, maybe I shouldn't be saying this now. It's easy to get some. There are people who sometimes try to impress with maybe. I have whole books of metabolic pathways. You get go through all these metabolic pathways, but and in theory, maybe that all looks impressive, but is that how it really works? In the
Yeah,
practice,
and they
it's very more complicated, I think, sometimes than certain people present it to be. But I'll just shut up. I'm going to stay back up in my box. Okay,
okay,
but
okay.
we're gonna. That's why it would be a good topic for a whole
Yeah,
stand.
it would. It's a good discussion. Okay, throw your mic on mute for right now if you would.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'm mute.
So, yeah. So because one of the things, if your mic's unmuted, I keep expecting you to say something, so I sometimes wait a little bit. But if it's muted, I know you don't intend to talk, so it's probably a little less confusing for me. And we all know how easily I get confused. But let me just say this, Boyd, while I got you here, before I take that off the screen, let me give you the bottom line of the Randall cycle in case you haven't figured it out. If you drive a Prius, it can run on gas and it can run on electricity, or both at the same time. So in that respect, it's a better hybrid than the human body, because the human body can run on, or each individual cell, because all this stuff we're talking about is an individual's cellular function. So all of this biochemistry that we talk, all these different cycles we keep talking about we're talking about inside one cell. And when we talk about manufacturing energy in the form of ATP inside of a cell, the only place that energy gets used is in that cell. Every cell has to make its own energy. Each cell is an autonomous life form in a big conglomerate forming a multi-celled organism, and the cells communicate with each other through hormones and electrical impulses, but the chemistry is all unique to each individual cell. What the Randall cycle does, it tells the cell which fuel to burn. It controls the switch. How it controls the switch is mind-blowing, but not necessary to understand what it does. What it does is basically say, listen, we see that you've got a hell of a lot more fat available from fuel than sugar, so we're going to turn off the gates that let the sugar in and only let the fat in, and vice versa. And it's like the little computer chip in a Prius that says, okay, right now, with the inputs from all the sensors we have, how fast you're going, how much of a load it is, what you're commanding, whether you're pushing the gas pedal to the floor or not. We're taking all that information and we made a decision. It is better for you to be running on gasoline now, and we turn off the electric motor and turn on the gasoline motor. And that's what the Randall cycle does in a cell. So that's all you really need to understand about the Randall cycle. It's the switch that says we need to burn fat now or we need to burn sugar now. Because you try to burn them both at the same time, bad things happen. So that's the answer. That's the quick answer to that. As far as glucose and everything else, you saw how long my non-answer took. Just imagine how long my answer to that question would take. It'd be crazy. Let's see what else we got. I think I got everybody, Ellen, that came in. We're up to about 3:15 now. Oh, here's Resting Witch Face. A name that I really, question too. Look at that. Resting Witch Face. I really like that. I really like that name. And most of you know that comes from the expression. And if I'm wrong about this, Resting Witch Face, no insult intended, but the expression is resting bitch face. And there's a lot of women, it's not anything wrong with them. It's just that when they relax their facial muscles, they settle in to an expression that looks like they're just dissatisfied with everything, when they may be happy. Men do it too, I'm sure. And it got the nickname Resting Bitch Face. I don't know why, but I love it. I love it. Now, whether I'd rather look like a witch or a bitch, I don't know. That's a woman thing. But welcome, whichever way it is. Or if you're the happiest human on the planet, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in. And the question says, with the upcoming holidays coming, how do you deal with the traditional holiday meals? What all do you eat? What will you be eating? Turkey, or do you stick to beef? Well, you're pretty much asking the wrong guy. Not because I know any more than the other guy, or I'm any better, or have more discipline or anything. With me, it's a matter of opportunity. I will not be going to any holiday dinners. None. I have no friends here. I wouldn't go near a holiday party here in the community I live. If my life depended on it, I don't even like the people. All they want to do is eat and drink and get drunk and act ridiculous. Most of them fat and sick and know nothing, and keep telling me I'm too skinny. I don't want any part of them. I have nothing in common with any of the people here. And I'm not a snob. I would love to have somebody. I would love Ellen live next door, because I'd have somebody I could talk to about things other than eating and drinking and sports and cooking shows. I find it incredibly non-mind stimulating. So I don't have friends here. I have 2 kids. I have one in Tampa, and I have one here that my son lives close to me. And they have a holiday dinner. One year, they all go over to my daughter's, and the next year they come over here. And what they normally do is make a separate dinner for me, not because that I'm a snob and I couldn't watch them eat the crap that they eat, because my son's really working hard at becoming a carnivore. And I go to dinner at his place all the time. I don't ever have a problem. He makes meat for me and I'm happy. They do it because their traditional holiday dinner is just jam-packed with his wife's family, her brothers and sisters, their kids, the grandkids. There are 30, 40 people that I don't even know, and most of them can't get enough to eat and drink, and they get rowdy, and I don't even, and he knows that it just disturbs the hell out of me to be around them, so he spares me. He spares me the holiday dinner. And he says, why don't you come over the night before, we'll have a little, we'll cook up a couple of steaks and smoke a cigar. And to me, I'll be right over. But so I don't go to holiday dinners and I don't go to holiday parties. It never even presents itself as a problem to me. I have none of that crap in my house and I live alone. So that doesn't present. So to me, if somebody said, did you know today was Christmas Eve? I'd say, oh, well, is it? I wasn't aware. My days are one like the other. So I'm the wrong guy to ask that question. But the answer to that question is it's tough. It's tough. It gets easier the longer you've been doing it without cheating. I truly believe that every time you cheat, you reset your addiction improvement back to 0. Every time an alcoholic takes just one sip of alcohol after I don't care how many years of sobriety, they have reset the clock on their sobriety. Same is true for a carb addict. I harp on this till people just get tired of hearing it. But they need to hear it until they accept it as reality, because the reality of it is out in front of everybody. Just ask everybody who wants to lose weight, has been trying to lose weight, and has never succeeded long term. And I'll tell you why. Because they haven't cured their sugar addiction. Well, that's not really an addiction, and then you go down that rabbit hole. So what happens when you start carnivore, this holiday season will ruin a large percentage of people that might have been off to a pretty good start. These people may have gotten through the hardest part of carnivore, the first 30 days. It's not easy. And again, I tell you, the only way to get through the first 30 days is just stuffing your face full of meat constantly. Forgetting the scale, forgetting weight loss, just trying to get your physiology to accept the fact that you're not going to die tomorrow if you don't get sugar when your body thinks it needs it. And it works, and God does it work. And it's worked for so many people. I see so many comments that have actually taken me seriously and tried it and said, wow, 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 wow. I got a comment from one of them this morning, says, you saved my life. And I keep harping on it. I'm like a one-trick pony with that. I'm also a one-trick pony on don't cheat. Every time you cheat, even a cheat bite, you are resetting yourself back to that first day again and sabotaging any progress and hard work you've done up to them. And along come the holidays. And if it isn't this holiday, it's going to be another holiday. If it isn't Thanksgiving, and then Christmas comes, and then Easter comes, and this comes, then football season comes, and tailgating time comes. And I got to tell you what, the human race has found more excuses for parties and eating that every day we got one or another. And if there's a day somewhere that doesn't have an excuse to go out and stuff your face full of poison and crap and get fat, we'll invent one because somebody will figure out a way to make money on it. So that's the problem. And the answer to your question is you're screwed. You're screwed if you haven't been a carnivore for 6 months or a year, if you haven't really settled in, if you haven't grasped the concept of how dangerous it is to take just one bite, if you haven't screwed up your courage enough to tell well-meaning people, take that food out of my face or I'm leaving, you're going to succumb because you're a nice person. You don't want to hurt their feelings. I had that happen to me at a birthday party, and I told this story. I walked in. One of my neighbors turned 105 years old. I went in there. All the other fat, sick neighbors are there, and right away, they're all shoving chocolate birthday cake in my face. Have a piece of cake, bitch. No, thank you. Oh, come on. We know you try to be healthy, but one piece of cake won't hurt you. How can one little piece of cake hurt you? What am I going to do, give them a lecture on addiction? I said, no, really. I'd rather not. No, thank you. Oh, we'll do it for Elva. You'll hurt her feelings if you don't eat a piece. Elva's so dementia-ridden that she wouldn't know. She isn't even in touch with her feelings anymore. But that's besides the point. No, I don't want it. Well, and then they get mad at you, and I left. I just leave. And I told the story of that's how they treat carb addicts, as if it's not a real thing, that you're crazy. It's not a real thing. And then I gave the example of how they would treat an alcoholic in exactly the same situation. And you can see a stark difference. And it's an amazing difference. Have a drink, Mitch. No, thank you. Oh, come on. No, I don't drink. Oh, come on, you can have just one. Listen, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And before you got the and out of your mouth, they would be backing off. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. God, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to try and hurt you. I know how tough that is to recover from alcohol. God, forget I even offered. I'm sorry. And they would fall all over themselves, apologizing. And as well they should. But they should do the same thing. We should have the same right and get the same respect as a carb addict. It should be that well known and documented. We should be able to say, I'd love to have a piece of birthday cake, but I am a recovering carb addict. And they should immediately say, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ruin the rest of your life by getting you started on a binge that will negate all the hard efforts of the last couple of years that you've done to get healthy. It is the same thing after all, isn't it? But our society doesn't look at it that way. Not with a drug dealer on every corner. 7-Elevens, Dunkin' Donuts, Pizza Huts, Walgreens drugstore. So that's why it's tough. And the holidays are tough. And you have a choice. You do like most people do, and this is where the addictions always win. Because remember, I told you the addictions are very adept at planting rationalizations in your prefrontal cortex. They're very adept at making you be okay with them getting their way and getting that sugar. And as it gets towards the end of the year, one of those rationalizations, that excuses that becomes more and more acceptable to us is that concept of a New Year's resolution. It's the end of the year. Ah, shit. This year didn't work. Let me just have my last hurrah here. And come New Year's, I promise I'm going to get serious about this carnivore thing, getting healthy. And you're off the hook. So now you got 2 months left, or a month and a half left, to binge and not get embarrassed or feel ashamed of yourself, because your subconscious is giving you a very reasonable and rational excuse to placate any guilt that might come up. And that's how the mind works. That's why we have no control over it. It controls us. We don't control it. And the only way to control the subconscious is to know what it needs and make sure it gets it somehow other than the way it wants it. And the way it gets the need for sugar fixed is to keep stuffing your body full of meat until it doesn't want any more of anything. And then the cravings finally go away. So that, I think that might answer the question. For me, I don't change a thing. For you, if you can do that, if you got enough willpower, if you're far enough into carnivore and you've gotten yourself to the point where the cravings aren't controlling you so much and you can actually exert some control over them, which happens in a month or two if you just completely abstain from carbs, then, do the best you can. Try to be tactful with these people. Just say no, thank you. Some people make up excuses like, well, I'd love to, but I'm allergic to that. You say, I'm allergic to grains. I can't eat grains. I'm sorry. I swell up like a balloon and break out. So as much as I'd love to eat your grains and your breads and your pastries and cookies and pies and pastas, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll be in the hospital in anaphylactic shock. And they'll leave you alone. People aren't that inconsiderate. They just don't know any better. And that's a shame. So there's an answer to that question you never expected to be that long, but we have time today. We have time today. And I see I got a super chat here from Ashjorn Knutson. I can't scroll down to it right here, but I can read it to you. This Christmas, I will eat all the meat, leave the greens, rice, and potatoes, and eat a meat cake if they insist I eat cake easy. Ashjorn, you've been at it long enough where you can do that, where you can exert yourself, where you're not too afraid to offend people who push you too hard. And I don't mean to go out of your way to offend people. My normal course is something they wish they hadn't even started with me. I say, I don't eat that stuff anymore, and come over here with me and sit down and let me tell you why. And from that point on, they probably wish they'd never opened their mouth and are trying to figure out a way to get away from this lunatic that only wants to talk about things that make them sound crazy, like eating only meat, and never want to see me again. And the next time these people see me at a party, they wouldn't dare come up there and offer me a piece of cake, because they know that they would get a lecture from me, and they're just not in for that. So maybe that's what we ought to do. Maybe we ought to be like that. Those people that knock on your door and want you to join their religions, and they're outfitted with brochures and flyers and little children, so you can't be mad at them. Maybe we should do that, because people get annoyed when that happens to them. So without realizing it, I can make myself as annoying as hell. If you really don't care, you just for some reason want to see me eating cake. And why they want to see me eating cake is still beyond me. Still beyond me. But thank you for the super chat, my friend. And when I do happen upon it on the chat here, which is going to be a long way down from where I am right now, I will highlight it. I will highlight it. And there's another super chat from Ashjorn. Spread the meat gospel, eat meat. And eat meat and me saved, it says. Yes, sir. Ashjorn, you're a very, very, very nice person over there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I still hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And Spanky's on fire. Spanky's on fire. Oh, no, I am fine. I thought it said I'm on fire. In here, I thought my new glasses were working better. Ellen's laughing.
I was laughing.
I was going to call the fire department, Spanky. I don't know exactly where you live, but,
Okay.
Jesus.
Well, I'm glad
I'm on.
that's not
Oh,
enough.
I see. It's in response to Dixie's thing that said, "Hi, Spanky, doing well." Can you guys tell that I'm in the greatest of moods this afternoon? Can you tell? Does it show? I didn't do anything since this morning that would make me unhappy. I didn't watch any news. I didn't watch any politics. I can't. I watched the replay of the live stream out there, which took me almost till noon, because Ellen and I managed to talk for a half an hour after that stream about all kinds of things. And we finally got done, and then I came in the house and created this live stream and got it posted. That takes 10 or 15 minutes to get that up. Then I went back outside. I still had most of the cigar I started from this morning, and believe it or not, half a cup of that cold coffee still left. So I went out there and I turned on the stream. I like to see the stream and go over the chat while the stream is playing to see what I missed, because I don't get a chance to really read the chat like Ellen does. And then it became close to noon. I came in the house. I had myself a half a pound, 5 slices of that thick Wright's thick cut bacon. Try saying that fast 5 times. And a half a dozen very large eggs. God, there was a lot of eggs. You know that mixing cup that I have that I beat my eggs in? It was more than half full of beaten eggs. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I decided that today was, let's see how much fat we can eat day. So I didn't even pour any bacon grease out of the pan. I just took that big pan full of bacon grease and I dumped those eggs in there, and they got right on the outside because of the grease. They got nice and a little bit crispy, but not burnt, just on the outside edge. And flipped them over very carefully, and they were greasy as hell. God, my God, was that a good meal and a lot of food. And I did that because I knew it would be my intermittent fasting period on Saturday, because I do the live stream right at exactly the time I should be eating. I have to put my second meal off for an hour or two. I figure, well, maybe I won't need a second meal. Maybe I'll just try to OMAD it today, and we'll see. The jury's still out. I'm definitely not hungry now, and it's been 4 hours since I ate. So, but I'm still not the slightest bit hungry, and I can live without food for a day, 2 days, 3 days, without breaking a sweat. So I don't worry about dying of starvation. At any rate, and then I finished the movie I was watching. I told everybody this morning on the live stream that I wanted to be happy. I wanted to spend a happy Saturday, because the rest of the world is going absolutely out of their minds with this election shit, and I don't even want to think about it, or talk about it, or even know about it. I've resigned myself to whatever happens will happen, and I'm going to live with it either way. And
good, and that's a good attitude.
And I'm going to step back from it now. And there's nothing I can do to affect anything anyway, so I'm just going to step back and do what I've done all my life, and that is dodge and weave. I've been up and down so many times. You all know my story in life and business. Bad luck, good luck, bad luck, good luck. Make a ton of money, go broke, make a ton of money, go broke. I have always had to live in and amongst the obstacles. My life has been a gauntlet. And I got pretty good at that. That's why I always wear sneakers. People say, I never see you in shoes. Why are you always wearing sneakers? I say, because in this life, you never know when you might not have to change direction in a minute's notice. And if you got to change direction that fast, it's better to be wearing sneakers so you don't slip and fall on your ass. And life's like that. So I got to the point after all this buildup that we got 3 days left to go. They're all going to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And whatever happens will happen. I'm still going to be alive when it's over. I'm still going to have to eat. I'm still going to have to pay my rent and have a life. And I just may have to dodge and weave a whole bunch of new crazy laws until we get to the point where there's not a cow to be found left on the planet Earth. And then we'll have to dodge and weave some more and try to figure out a way to at least do the best we can. Maybe not ideal, but the best we can, knowing what we know. All along, all the time. Still hoping for the best. I never give that up. I never give up hoping for the best. But while hoping for the best, I'm always making contingency plans in my brain to figure out the best way I might live with the worst of what happens. So I'm at that point now, and I don't care. It's going to happen. I voted. I did whatever. I did my part. And short of going around knocking doors, dragging people to the polls, I can't tell them how to vote anyway. I may drag the other guy to the polls without realizing it. Nah, I'm done. I'm staying out of it. Staying out of it. So I wanted to be happy today. So I watched the last part of Airport 75. And I told you about that movie this morning. Airport 75, a 49-year-old movie starring Charlton Heston as a fairly young man, too. It's crazy watching some of these older movies. That was Moses, for God's sakes. Moses, Charlton Heston. If you remember the original Exodus movie, Charlton Heston was Moses, for God's sakes. That was long before he was the president of the National Rifle Association, mind you. I wonder if there's some cosmic connection in Moses becoming the president of the NRA. And I wonder how certain people of certain political bent might actually view the irony, the absolute irony of that. But it was just a fun movie to watch, and I explained it this morning, and maybe most of you were here, maybe some of you haven't heard this. We don't have a ton of people here today. It's not bad, but we don't have the usual turnout that we usually get, so something's got to be going on out there. The movie Airplane, which everybody's seen and everybody knows, with Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, and every other star under the planet, you know. So many lines. And the most famous line from that movie is, "Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and stop calling me Shirley." That was Nestle. That's the most famous Leslie Nielsen line of all times. And that movie is a cult classic. And that movie is a scene-by-scene comic recreation of the movie Airport 75. Scene by scene. Right on down to Helen Reddy playing the nun, playing the guitar and singing to the little girl flying to get her kidney transplant on the plane. And a genius movie. Airplane was a genius movie. I don't even think they knew how genius it was. But funny as hell. And so I got finished. I got finished that, and it got to be about like 1 o'clock. And I said, well, I got the live stream at 3. I don't want to ruin my fabulous mood that I'm in today. Content, happy with the world. Not worrying about the future, just confident in my ability to handle what comes my way. Something I've always had to do. And I went back to YouTube where I found that movie. And what was the first thing up in my YouTube recommendations? You ready for this? The movie Airport, the first one from 1970, the one with Dean Martin. I looked at that and I said, yeah, that's the ticket. I'm going to watch that. And I started watching that movie and almost missed the live stream here. You get so engrossed in these things and seeing all these old actors. Holy cow. Ashorn, thank you. Another super chat. He's getting political on me. He says, don't worry, I doubt Tim Walsh will ever give up his hamburger, and I'm sure Kamala loves fried chicken. I eat chicken too, but steak is better. Yes, sir, Ashorn. So many of these globalist people who demand that we eat more soy and stop driving big cars and stop eating red meat because it's polluting the planet. When they have banquets at these G7 meetings and things, they're eating nothing but steak and lobster. They get to these G7 meetings in no other way than their huge private jets. They're such hypocrites, these people. And elitists. It's intolerable. Absolutely intolerable. But it is the way it is. It is the way it is. And somehow they manage to stay in some kind of power or other, usually because they have the money to buy it. So I had to interrupt my Airport 70 movie, and I got to tell you, when I finish watching that later, I have no plans for the rest of the day. If another airport movie, I remember there was Airport 77. I think there was 5 or 6 of them only. I'll watch the whole line of them because there's nothing in any of them that pisses me off, and that's the goal for today, just to be happy, just to be happy. I see Ellen has deserted me, so what am I going to do now? I don't know what to do without Ellen there. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'll keep going down the chat, and the chat keeps growing like crazy. Holy cow! And I'm only where I got to was just 20 minutes after 3. It's already 5 after 4. So bear with me while I look. Lori's carnivore story. Yeah, I said hi to you. My daughter has a Halloween party tonight. Maybe some are getting ready for one of those. It's possible. It's possible. Or maybe people are just getting enough of me. And I can't blame them. I'm on every morning. I wouldn't blame people if they don't need me twice a day. Listen, I completely understand. Doesn't mean they don't like me. I mean, I get tired of watching too much of anybody, even if I love them. You know, I can only watch so much Ken Berry, so much Anthony Chafee, before it all starts to sound repetitive. And by answering these questions, I try not to make it competitive, but in a lot of respects, it has to be competitive because the main message is that needs to be repeated over and over again. That talks about the causes of these problems, addiction, how to overcome them. Those are things that, you know, if I said them 5 times a day, there will still be the majority of people who have never heard it. Asjorn's back. Wow, man, look at you throwing kroners at me today. Thank you. Can't stand the kids. Can I hand? Oh, okay. Can I hand the kids jerky next Halloween? Probably not. Probably not. You'd like to. You'd like to. Now, if you could find, Ellen, I muted your mic for you. So when you left, so don't. You won't be able to unmute it, but just I'll unmute it from my end now. So
I'm
there you go.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No,
Don't worry about it. You look after me, I look after you. You know, kind of works that way. So, yeah, Ashjorn, one of the things about Halloween candy is that anything that's not hermetically sealed in some kind of cellophane wrapper is a no-no. Even giving kids apples and things, because they can be contaminated. They can be manipulated. They can be sabotaged. People can put razor blades in them. It's bad enough they figure out ways to do that when they are plastic wrapped, but they don't. They suggest that parents go through their kids' Halloween bags and anything that isn't in some kind of a box or bag that looks like the way it might come from a store shelf, to take it and throw it away. Not a bad idea. And certainly some pieces of beef jerky, no matter how you might wrap them up, whether you put them in a Ziploc or whatever, they have the aura of somebody's hands have been all over these things before I'm going to eat it, and maybe it wouldn't be a good idea for me to eat it. But nobody ever thinks that way about the stuff that comes in the boxes from the factories, but the people that work in factories have hands too. We would hope they'd be at least a little sanitary. But that's what immune systems are for. So shouldn't get sick from it either way. But no, I know it was a joke that you said, but in reality, most children today wouldn't know beef jerky if it jumped in front of them and bit them on the nose. But thank you again. Thank you so much for that. Oh, I want to thank. I didn't notice them until later, and I did want to thank some people this morning for buying me some coffee. They bought me some coffee this morning. 5 people did. Thank you, 5 people. And those 5 people were, this morning, someone, and I love these buy me a coffee app. Well, it looks just white on the camera, but it says if you don't put your name in there, it just says someone. So someone bought me 3 coffees right off the bat this morning. Used my chicken wing videos for supper last night. What a delicious learning experience. Then Marcia at Chessie's Adventures bought me a coffee. Jerry Voitush bought me a coffee. Peter, Papa Carnivore, bought me a coffee. CB Carmack bought me a coffee this morning. Then Greg Smith bought me a coffee.
Wow, how nice.
And then, Greg Smith bought me a coffee, I think maybe after the live stream or maybe during the live stream. But thank you, Greg. I don't know if I've answered that one yet. No, I haven't. That happened shortly ago. I got 2 more. One from another someone with no message, and one from Greg Smith, who says, hope this gets your day started with a smile and a cigar. And you've just listed some of the things that almost ensure that my day gets started off right. So,
Well, you'll have lots of coffee now.
yes, I have coffee, certainly a day's worth, but me, I'm not going to miss the opportunity here mentioning coffee. For a shameless plug, sorry guys, I don't advertise much, but I'm going to give you my little sales pitch, and if you don't like it, then sorry, but we do need to keep this thing going somehow. If you feel, and I'll make this real quick, if you feel that you've benefited somehow and want to let me know you appreciate the things I've done and the things I've said, and they've been helpful to you, and you can afford a couple of bucks, that's important because some people can't. The best way to show your appreciation for me is to buy me a coffee. Nobody takes a big cut out of that. Okay? I mean, I get 95% of what you give is not, only about 5% is for credit card fees and administrative fees. So it's the best way for me to get most and enjoy most of your appreciation. Anyway, it's just buymeacoffee.com/oldguycarnivore, or click a link at any one of my videos. I appreciate that. You're not paying me for any services rendered. It's not necessary that you do. It's not necessary you say thank you to people when they do something for you, but you do it anyway for one reason or another. So if you think I've benefited you and you want to throw a $5 cup of coffee at me, I appreciate it. They add up. They add up. I was thinking to myself, I said, God, if all my subscribers bought me a cup of coffee, I could retire tomorrow. Let's see, that's 38,000 subscribers times $5. That's a couple $100,000. What are the odds of that happening, Mitch? Oh, yeah. What's the old saying? Don't place your hand on your ass while you wait for that to happen, because it'll grow there. You get that? Don't put your hand on your ass while you wait, it'll grow there. That's another way of saying don't hold your breath. Yeah. But you get a few of them a day.
Yeah,
It adds up to where you can make a living, and that's what I do. So I really appreciate those things. And if you do want to say thank you like that, I appreciate it. And if you don't, I still love you, and I still respect you as much, and I'll still give you as much of my time and attention, and try to help you. Because that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for comments like I got this morning on the morning live stream where she told me, you saved my life. And I don't know. I know a lot of human beings in this world, but I don't know too many of them that are getting told, not too infrequently, you saved my life. I think that's like the highest thanks that one human being can give another. It's not something you throw. It's not something you throw around lightly either. You don't say something like that unless you really mean it. And that's why. That's the real reason that I do this. Is that, and there still is something for me in that, because I can't describe the feeling you get. That almost brings tears to your eyes when some human being gives you credit for saving their life. That that's worth more than money. It's worth more than money. But you'd never know that until you actually experienced it. Anyway, enough of the Buy Me a Coffee shit. Let me get rid of that horrible banner that makes me look like nothing but a cheap salesman. Okay, let's go back to the chat here, to the comments. Ellen, have I got any questions?
Yes. Well,
All right, let's get started on the questions now. I've tried to interact a lot with the.
you have, and you did field a couple of the questions from today.
Well, if I come across them, I field them.
So,
As they happen. That's easier.
we are catching up. Now,
I just saw a question here. Are Johnsonville sausages a good choice? I don't know if you've seen that one yet or not, but I can answer that one pretty quick. I have no idea. I have not looked at what's in the ingredients, and until I would look at the ingredients, I can't tell. But some sausages are good. Some of them are loaded with shit. You just have to read the ingredients, and just reading the ingredients isn't really going to tell you much, because so many of the things that they put on the ingredients are chemical sounding names. You know what they are anyway. So the fewer ingredients something has in it, the more likely it is to be healthy. The thing about sausages that scare me away is they use plant material as filler, soy, things like that. And if they don't use that, they have to contain spices, because a sausage wouldn't be a sausage without the spices. And most of those spices are plants, and that's where you have to make a decision whether are you are you trying to eliminate all plants or not. I made that decision, and I eliminated all plants except for coffee beans. That's it. And I live with that, and I'm happy with that decision. Some people become carnivores and say, I'm still going to have garlic, I'm still going to have black pepper and a few other spices, and I can live with that. And if there's any health detriment, I'll live with that, because it's just something I enjoy, and I don't want to give up everything. So look over any hot dog, sausage, processed meat of any kind. Look over the ingredients list, and if you want to talk to me about it, just kind of write down what the ingredients are, throw them in a comment one day, and we'll see if we can't figure out if it's any good. I'd be happy to help you with that. Okay, Ellen, you're up. You're up.
okay, so we have one question from Leilina from Tuesday, but she's here. So I thought we could
Cool. From
finish
Tuesday.
that one and catch up from Tuesday.
Wow. Wow. How do you pronounce her name? Leilina?
Lalina, Lalena.
Lalina.
So
Lalina, where else do you go as a complete stranger on somebody else's website and ask a question and come back 4 days later and they remember you and want to answer your question? Don't thank me for that. Don't thank me for that. Thank this one up here.
I keep track of you people.
I'm telling you, brilliant, Ellen, brilliant. All right, the question is.
Okay, and I think I know what your answer to this one will be. Not as I find eggs very satiating. What is your comfort food on Carnivore?
I have no comfort food.
Exactly.
Is that what you thought I was going to say?
That's what I thought the angle you were going to take would be. Yes.
There is no comfort food. I don't eat food
For comfort.
to gain
right.
pleasure or for comfort or to release or reduce stress or
Yes.
any of the other things we associate with comfort. Comfort
Right.
food means it calms you down, makes you
Yes.
feel good.
And that's
Once
why
you become a carnivore and you become fully fat adapted and you get used to eating nothing but meat, you start to view even though you enjoy the hell out of your food and it tastes fabulous, you're not getting comfort from it. You're getting nourishment from it. It's like, does your car get comfort from the gas pump when you pull it in to fill it up? No, gets fuel. You develop, and people who've never had this, including myself, would never have believed it could be true. They say, that's a crock of shit, Mitch. Are you kidding? What do you mean I don't get pleasure from food? It's not pleasure. The closest you get from pleasure, closest you get to pleasure from food on a carnivore diet at least for me, is the first bite of the first meal of the day. If it's like a well-seared ribeye or perfectly cooked bacon, you take that first bite and you just go, mmm. But it's still different than that feeling you get wolfing down pasta, thick gravies with cornstarch and all of those other things, because the thing that gives you the comfort is the drug you're addicted to. And it's the same comfort an alcoholic feels when he takes a drink, or a heroin addict feels when he shoots up. So no, I mean, it's an interesting way to look at it, and it's a fabulous question. A fabulous question. My answer is, if you're a true carnivore, the concept of comfort foods ceases to exist. And I'm happy to hear you, and I've never heard anybody talk about that before. That's why it's such a great question.
Yeah, I thought so.
And I'm happy to hear Ellen has the same view on it that I do. Be interesting to see some other people comment on that. Yeah, Jerry Wojtush says ribeyes are pretty damn comforting. They're not, Jerry. You know, I guess it's how you define comforting. They are fabulous and delicious and satisfying, but they satisfy your hunger. Satisfying and comforting are two completely different feelings. Completely different feelings. So we have to make sure when we're talking about semantics that we have our definitions align. And that's generally where most misunderstandings live. So
that's why
but that's a great question. I'm glad you saved that one from Tuesday. That was a cool question. I like that.
Yes, because I thought it seemed simple, but it really is rather deep, in that comfort implies, we eat to feel good, when we feel sad, when we feel, alone, and
Yes.
that's what we don't want to do. That's what some of us have done for a long, long time. Gets us in the trouble. Okay, now we can get back up to, are you ready?
Yeah, but I did want to thank.
You want to, okay.
I got a coffee. I got a coffee here.
Okay.
I just noticed it. Yeah.
That.
Kim appreciates life, bought me a coffee. Thanks for the fun live chat, she says. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kim. And I'll type you a little thank you when after the stream, when I get to answering these things one by one. But I do get these. They send me an email. See, they send me an email. Let's see if you can see it. Bring it into focus.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, that's what they look like. Kim appreciates life, and I get an email.
Oh,
I have my notifications turned off, but thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I like to acknowledge when people are nice.
Yes.
And
definitely.
it's not to embarrass anybody, but I do like to acknowledge us. So thank you. Thank you. And I would certainly have thanked you even if I hadn't noticed it during the stream. Okay, where were we?
Okay, we are carrying on with questions.
Okay, what's next?
So let's see. I think, one's from this morning. 3 of the people aren't here. So I'm going to do one from someone who's here and then go back to today.
Okay.
Jerry Wojtush is here, and he would like to know what your thoughts are on sardine fasts.
Well, before or after I watched the Annette Bosworth video about the fact that sardines contain enough arsenic to kill you. Now, this is what makes me crazy about this stuff. This is great for you until we say it isn't, until we tell you it's going to kill you. And these things come in cycles. How many times in your lifetime has coffee changed its mind? Coffee is terrible for you. Coffee's good for you. Coffee's terrible for you. Coffee's going to kill you. Caffeine is bad for you. Caffeine has these 10 amazing benefits for the human body. Nobody can make up their mind. Every story's got 2 sides. And everybody is telling their story. And yes, sardines are good for you. Fatty salmon is good for you. If it's good salmon, preferably wild caught. But even farm-raised salmon is not going to kill you. May not be as good for you, but there's still nutrients and omega-3s in there. Ribeye is good for you, you know. But I view all of these fasts of only eating one food, challenges that YouTubers organize, 30-day beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge. Let's all compete with each other to see who can stay on it the longest. You know, all of this stuff to me is foolishness. It's foolishness. It does many things. Number one, it makes you overthink everything and have to over-control everything. It makes you have to change the way you do things every time something new comes along, when you're much better off. Let me ask you a question about your pets. Let me ask you a question about your pets. How old is your pet? How long have you had it? And how many times has your pet changed his routine when he eats? When he eats. Does he come to you someday and say, I don't like my bowl anymore, I need a different bowl? No. Familiarity, routine is what animals settle into when they have discovered what works. Just keep doing more of what works. And every time you break from that routine, you may be just beginning to get into a great routine like I did 2 years ago. Of my routine is a routine. May not be the routine for you, but it is a routine, and I have not deviated from it, not for one day or one reason in 2 years. 2 to 2.5 pounds of food a day over 2 meals. First meal, 6 out of 7 days, if not 7 out of 7. Half pound of bacon, 5 or 6 eggs, pound of some kind of meat later in the day, usually beef of some kind, but once a week, throwing in either some chicken or some fish. So if I'm going to eat sardines, maybe I'll substitute the sardines for bacon one day when I make an omelet, and I'll make an omelet with a whole tin of sardines or anchovies mixed in it. That's a variation on a theme. That's not a complete change of routine and habit. But I keep doing the same thing. I do the same thing every day. I don't have to change up. It's because I know how to cook it fast, clean up fast. It does the job. I stay healthy. I lost all the weight. I'm happy, just happy as hell. Crave nothing, want nothing, feel in no way deprived in any way. I'm not jealous of people I see stuffing their face full of Dunkin' Donuts. And it works. So along comes a video telling me the miracles of a sardine fast. Why?
Miracles.
Why? Is there a particular thing that I have wrong with me that this is supposed to fix? All I'm going to do is disrupt my biochemistry, throw new shit at it that it's not used to. Probably cause myself more problems than good. And then you see a video that says that these things are loaded with arsenic. Or a BBBE challenge. Why do I don't need to be challenged. I got it mastered, and it's the height of simplicity. Why do I need to complicate it? And especially, why do I need to report to somebody? I'm going to lie anyway if it didn't come out right. Right, Ellen? You're going to lie. You're not going to tell the truth if you cheated in most cases.
Yes.
Well, I finished that 30-day fast and I didn't lose any weight, so there's something wrong with your 30-day fast. No, maybe there's something wrong with the fact that you ate 16 cheesecakes while you were on this 30-day fast. Come on now, will you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and it's so you'll sign up for their whatever group or whatever that you have.
Yeah, it's a marketing thing. It's give me clicks. It's look at me on YouTube. No, I run the risk. I lose subscribers. I drive people away because I'm not coming up with new shit to help you every day. I've got the shit that works.
Yes.
And I keep telling you about that every day. And until I change my mind, you're going to keep hearing about that and not this other crap. And everyone, virtually every single one without fail, of the influencers on social media that keep concocting all of these adventures are the same people that used to concoct these strange diets. You know, the potato and bagel diet, you know, they all fail. They all fail. You look at them, they're always falling off the wagon. Every month or two, you get the inevitable, I failed, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again, I ate this shit, I gained 30 pounds back. I mean, how many times have you seen these videos? I'm quitting carnivore, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff, that is clickbait, get me views, make me money. If I have to make money like that on YouTube, I'm not going to do YouTube. That's so disingenuous. So it's not that I had contempt for it. I laugh at it. This stuff doesn't work because you don't need that. You need a few basic rules, find a few basic foods that you can find delicious so that you continue to eat them and you never get bored with them. Get into a routine and have a little variety once a week or so, but keep your routine standard and you will want for nothing. That's been my experience. And again, that's all I can talk to. But the experience of so many that have done it this way. You know that Sean Baker does it this way. You know that guy sits down every night at a cutting board with 2 or 3 pounds of ribeyes and a big knife. And that's how he eats. You know that Anthony Chaffee eats that way. You know that Ken Berry eats mostly that way, but has to keep his wife happy because she's a keto. She says she's ketovore. She continually tries to figure out ways to make things with carbs in them, something that carnivores can put right out of their mind. It's not even something we think about. It's what makes carnivore the simplest diet on the planet. Your choices are very limited, and your recipes are very limited, and you don't have to worry about hundreds of different kinds of plants and vegetables and grains and other kinds of foods, trying to make low-carb foods so that you can be what you should be all along, and that's a carnivore. And if you got to eat some broccoli, go right ahead, but past that kind of carb. And if the fiber doesn't screw you up, that's okay. And pure carnivore is not for everybody, but you should start with it anyway. And then if you feel like, well, there are some things missing, and I've done it, and I've done what Mitch said and other guys have said, and yet I'm still feeling a little bit deprived, and okay, then experiment a little. Try adding something, 1 at a time, not 2 at a time, because if something happens, you'll never know which of the 2 things to blame it on. 1 at a time and see if it doesn't trigger addictions. But the minute the thoughts of little sugar plum fairies start dancing around in your head, stop whatever it was you started, or you're done. You're finished. Your addiction will win. You cannot outsmart that addiction. You can only overfeed it. That's the only thing I've ever found that actually gets it to shut up, is just jamming food in your mouth. And if you jam the right kind of food in your mouth and overfeed your addiction, you'll experience satiety, and the addiction will wane quite a bit. And you do that for a long enough period of time, a month or so, you will reduce those cravings and that addiction's hold on you by at least 80 to 90%. And take it down to a point where even having willpower might work. No guarantees, but it might. So no, sorry, that's a long answer to that question, but no sardine fasts for me. No 3-week fasts for me. Nothing drastic or out of the ordinary for me. No mud hut retreats. No sweat lodges. Dave Asprey and his cave living, hemp smoking, peyote using ways. He can have all that stuff. I'm going to live my life like a dumb animal when it comes to my health. The dumber I am, the less I have to think about, the less I have to worry about, the more I will just go with my instincts. And that is the only advice that I can give people, that is the best advice on the planet that actually means something. But in order to get to the point where you even recognize those instincts, there's a lot you have to go through. You can call it a cleansing maybe, but it's mostly mental. You have to get your body chemistry back to where it should be. And then you go with your instincts. We talked about that the other day on the stream. Remember, we were talking about hunger.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And most people don't even know what hunger is.
Right.
They're always hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You hungry? Of course I'm hungry. I'm hungry from the time I get up in the morning until they don't know what satiety means. They never experienced it because they're living on nothing but sugar. Mm-hmm. And when you're living on nothing but sugar, you cannot be satisfied. Satiety is non-existent. There's anti-satiety. I made up a word there. Anti-satiety is what you experience. The more you eat, the more you want to eat. The only time you stop eating sugar is when you get so full you can't move or you get nauseous from sugar poisoning. And then maybe you'll stop eating, but you'll still, like Chinese food, a half hour later, you'll be back diving in again. I used to get to that point eating ice cream. I could eat almost a whole gallon of ice cream. I'd get through 3/4 of it and I would start to feel physically nauseous. And I'd say, God, what the hell was I thinking? You know, that's the first words that come out of your mouth after you've done that dirty deed, of eating.
What the hell was I thinking?
A quart and a half. What the hell was I thinking? And when you get past that, you promise yourself you'll never do it again. Excuse me, need a little water. You try talking nonstop for 2 hours and see if that doesn't happen to you. You say, what was I thinking? I promised myself I will never do that again. Never. I couldn't look at another spoonful of ice cream in the face without it hurling, and I can't believe I actually did that. So you take what's left of the ice cream, you put it in the freezer. How long, think about it, how long before you go back and get it and finish it, Ellen? How long on the average for the average person? After, I'm talking about at the point where the thought of more ice cream makes you physically ill and you get a craving to finish the ice. How long? How long do you think it took for me?
Half hour to an hour?
Yes, 20 minutes to a half an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and they say the thing about Chinese food is you're always hungry an hour later. Well, there's a reason for that. Monosodium glutamate is very common in that food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Think about the terminology, glutamate.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the primary sugar receptor in every cell of our body? It's called the GLUT4 receptor. So, any word that has glut in it means it's involved with sugar some way or another. And that's what happens. 20 minutes. 20 minutes from I'm so sick of this I can't look at it to, man, I could use some more ice cream. 20 frigging minutes. That's how powerful these addictions are. What I would do to try to overcome that, when I finally got so disgusted with myself, when I finally said, what the hell were you thinking, Mitch? Why did you do that? You've done it before so many times. You should have known it was going to make you, was not going to be good for you. You were going to overeat this stuff to the point of ridiculousness. You're going to put back any weight you lost. You're going to binge and probably want some more tomorrow. Why? You can't answer that question, so you make that ridiculous promise to yourself. 20 minutes later, you're finishing it. So what I would do is I would say, aha, you're not going to get me in 20 minutes. You can do this when you get your rational mind back, but it only takes your subconscious about 20 minutes to shut down that prefrontal cortex again, take rational thinking away from you, and control what you really want. And during that time period, I used to try to outsmart it. This was some of my first attempts at trying to hack the biology. I would turn the hot water on in the sink. I would take that gallon jug of ice cream and I'd pour it into the drain and let the hot water run it down the drain where it would be gone. Because I knew, I had proven to myself so many times that it took 20 minutes to a half an hour and I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
And the whole goal was not to eat it in the first place.
Right.
Remember the old expression that says, when you're up to your ass in alligators, you sometimes forget the main objective, which was to drain the swamp.
Yes.
You understand what that means?
Yes.
Yeah. It means you go in with one objective in mind, and then things happen, and emergencies and danger, and you lose sight of why you were there in the first place. Well, this is what happens with people. The main objective of that whole exercise was, I think I'd like to have a little ice cream. I'm going to go to the drugstore now,
Mm-hmm.
and in order so I don't do what I always do, I am going to limit myself to just 1 pint of ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first
Right.
objective.
Right.
Off you go to the drugstore.
We
You
all
walk
say that. Mm-hmm.
walk in the drugstore, and what do you see? 2 for 1. Oh shit. Well, let's see. 1 pint of this Ben and Jerry's is normally like $3-4. Now I can get 2 for
Right.
$3-4. But right next to it, look at that. Look at that. An entire half a gallon of ice cream for $1.79. I
Right.
can't pass that up. And I inevitably always get sucked in, and I would go home with a gallon of ice cream. Proud about the money I'd saved. Wow, what a smart guy I am. Look at the money I could have spent as much as $3 or $4 on this shit, and I managed to get it for just $1.79. I'm not going to eat anymore, but even if I just threw away what I didn't eat, I still saved money. My father would be so proud of me. And then you start eating. Well, your intentions are still, I'm just going to have a small amount of ice cream. So you eat it, you make yourself a little bowl of ice cream, and you get through that. You're doing something mindless. You're watching TV. Always. None of us just sit and eat ice cream. We always sit and eat ice cream while we're being entertained. We're listening to music. We're watching a football game. We're watching a movie. It's late at night, the worst time of the day to eat, especially to eat sugar. But that's the habits we've gotten ourselves into. You can't go to a movie without popcorn in your lap. It's so associated. I mean, it's just, even somebody that never eats popcorn is going to eat popcorn when they go to a movie. It's just what you do. So you sit down with the idea, okay, I am going to just have one, and I have these little, you've seen them, custard cups. They're Pyrex glass custard cups. You can bake custard in the oven in them and eat right out of it. They were great for a little serving of berries or ice cream.
Cups.
So I fill up a thing, and of course, it's a small cup, so I, of course, pile it on as high as I can get it, because it's still just a small cup. I don't care if you pile it up this high. It's still a small cup, you're saying to yourself, all right, I'm just going to have a cup of this.
Yeah, it's just a half a cup. It might
Just a cup, yeah, just a little bit, no problem. I'm still in control here. I am absolutely in control still. Nobody can tell me that I'm not in control. We arrogant humans, we have no idea. So you eat that 1 cup and you get down to the last thing, and then you find yourself scraping the tiniest little bit of whatever goo might be left in the bottom of that cup, and then you're furiously trying to get some more food out of a cup that's clean enough to put away already. Jesus, you did everything but lick it. And then you say, well, maybe just one more. That was me. That shows you how in control I was. I wasn't. And it wasn't until I admitted to myself that I'm not in control of this stuff that I could even begin to fix the problem. Because even an addict, until he admits that he's not in charge, the addiction is in charge, cannot begin to even treat or address his addiction. Over the years, I learned that there is no addiction anywhere near as strong as a sugar addiction, and I learned why, and I've talked about that a lot, and I won't get into that now, because each one of these different things is another half-hour talk. Why is a sugar addiction the most addictive substance on the planet to the human beings? It's the oldest addiction. There's a reason for this addiction. This addiction meant living or dying at some point in our ancient past. That's why we have it. It's not just an addiction. It's the most important addiction. And we have put ourselves into a nutritional situation with our lifestyle these days that our physiology thinks we are always in a famine. We are always one day away from death. The death of running out of the 1 day's supply of sugar that we can actually store. That is why the carbohydrate addiction is so strong, because your subconscious thinks you only have hours to live until you get your fuel tank filled. Mm-hmm. That's the simplicity of it. That's all there is to it. It's no more complicated than that. I try to keep explaining that to people. The common sense of it, the simplicity of it. Nobody talks about it. I've never heard anybody on YouTube in our space talk about why a carb addiction is the granddaddy of all addictions. They may have mentioned it casually. They may even understand it. But they don't try to make people understand why the hell you have this problem. And that's why I work so hard to make people try to understand, try to create ways to explain things that people can identify with without just filling up a blackboard full of molecular, diagrams.
Yes.
And that's why people tell me I'm a good teacher. But this is what you have to do in order to actually help people. You got to get them to understand the why.
Yes.
And you hear carnivore YouTubers talk about the why. A lot of them do. Oh, you have to understand your why. Well, what's your why? Well, I want to lose weight. That's my why. Well, that's not a why. Everybody wants to lose weight. I want to get healthy. I want my diabetes to go. But those aren't real whys. You have to understand why you got the way you got. That's the why you need to understand. Not why you want to fix it.
This level.
That's crazy. That's kindergarten to wonder, why do you want to fix it? Well, why do you think I want to fix it? I weigh 700 pounds. Come on. You need to understand the why, but it's a different why. You need to understand why you got to 700 pounds. How could that have happened to you? Mm-hmm. Nobody, you have never believed it when you were a skinny kid. And if you never understand why it happened, how can you begin to fix it? If you don't know why your car won't run, how can you repair it? Just saying, well, why? I want my car to run. What do you think I'm here for? That's not the why. The why is, how did this happen, and how can that help me understand the validity of what I need to do to fix it, and the bullshit of how other people tell me to fix it, so I can make an informed decision now and figure out which course of action I take that makes the most common sense and has a realistic chance of being the real deal. How did we get off on this, Ellen? This is just another example of me at a cocktail party and why people always run away and have that deer in the headlights look when I get started.
Well, that's their loss, because I would think they would be hovering around you to get.
They're not that curious. Not when there's a buffet table somewhere in the neighborhood, or another cocktail.
Well, we've had some action while that was going on.
I saw that. I saw we had Ashjorn.
Yes.
Came up with another little super chat. Eat steak at the movies, smuggle it in. Oh, people do that. My answer, of course, is a hard-ass answer, drill sergeant answer. Don't eat anything at the movies.
Yeah, just watch the movie.
That's a snack, and don't snack. Unless you happen to go to the movie and it happens to be one of your meal times, then get a big plate full of what you normally eat and take it in the movie with you. Smell up the whole movie theater, make it smell like a steakhouse. But this idea of having to eat to accompany every activity we do is why we're in the trouble we're in.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Eating and half the time it's not even the activity we go for. The activity is the accompaniment to the food. The main event is the food. It always is these days. Mm-hmm. Somebody invites you to a party, your first words are, "Oh, great. What are you serving?" You have an open bar? Is there going to be a bar there? You know, you're going to have top shelf liquor? Or am I going to get the cheap shit at your party? Come on, I got to, we need to know this stuff before we go to your party. Who do you think you're talking to here? We have standards. It's nuts. It's just so nuts out there. And,
It's
I'm trying to, I try every day to, because instead of getting upset with it and angry and frustrated with it, I try to lean more towards being amused by it. It's like going to the circus and watching the clowns behave, you know?
okay. Well,
So,
and we also had a Boyd Lamb. also
Boyd, yeah, I see
five
that there.
memberships.
Boyd gifted some 5 private community memberships. Thank you so much, Boyd. Very nice of you. Yeah, that private community is doing great right now. It's growing like crazy. A lot of people are sticking in there with it too. I guess they enjoy some of these live streams. And God, do we have a chat full tonight? I'm going to put these up real quick. This was
Okay.
one of Ashjorn's super chats in Kroners. Thank you so much for that. And then he had another one up here, which was not too. I just want to display these to acknowledge them and say thank you. Very generous of these people. And another one, man. Look at this. I think, yeah, Kroners, that's about $5. That's plenty generous. So if you super chat all day, you've given me, $15, $20, $30. That's more than generous, Ashjorn, and greatly appreciated. And when I say more than you can imagine, it's true. None of you can imagine how much I appreciate it. Not just for the money, but for the thank you that's attached to it. Means a lot to me. So there was that one, and I'm going down and down and down, and there's so much. And I will read the entire chat because I do watch the entire replays of all my live streams so that I can see what's going on out there in the community. It's important to me. I can pick up questions. I have a question here.
Yes.
Jerry Voitush, I'm sure you had this written down. I loved your comment to me when we were heading into the cigar lounge. What's the rush? Great guy, Jerry. My God, some of the nicest people. God, Jerry, we met at the couple weeks ago at the meetup here in Melbourne. He presents me with a nice box of cigars. Totally unnecessary, but what a class guy, sweet guy, looking healthy as hell, and just loving life, loving every little bit of this. Ashjorn, thank you again. Boyd Lamb gifted us the five memberships, and thank you so much. I'm just quickly glancing at some of the chat on the way by, and some of it's funny. You guys have a great sense of humor. You're smart people. You guys are smart people. Of course, you're smart people. You're here. It's a shame there aren't more of you as smart as we are. Tammy, thank you, Tammy. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you. Super sticker. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Tammy.
Appreciate that.
And Spanky
Spanky
added a super chat.
Thank you. That's a super chat from you. Thank you, my friend. Very, very generous. And I think I got down to the bottom of the chat. I am. The last one is HWMO Liberty. Look at that. Holy cow. And it just so happens to be 5 minutes to 5.
Okay, and we still have a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead, real quick. Let's see if we can get one or two more in before we close it out.
hopefully
Because I don't know where the hell this 2 hours went to.
I
Do
know.
you?
It was so fast. I know.
Oh, unbelievable.
DC Learning to Live wants to know, how did you get into this, Mitch? YouTube, etc.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this could be another one.
I can try to make this short because it's a if you knew me and you knew my personality and you knew my interests and you knew the type of guy I am, it would be completely obvious why I got into this. I got into YouTube originally in 2018 with a drone channel because model airplanes, aviation, and drones have been my lifelong passion, my hobby throughout my life. When I stopped flying full scale, and I flew full scale and owned airplanes all my life, and God, the number of flying hours I had, the different types of equipment I flew was enormous. I flew so much it got to be old hat. Ended up owning airplanes that I never flew. And that was a ridiculous thing to do because there's a lot of maintenance, upkeep, insurance, hangaring, all kinds of expenses. So I hadn't flown in a while, and when the drones came out and the technology got to the point where you could throw a pair of goggles on your head with a high definition camera in the drone and a couple of sticks in your hand and actually go fly and be in the drone when you're flying and see what a pilot would see if he was in the drone. It was a thrill for me. It was real flying, only real flying like I'd never done. Because in a real airplane, I never went to a park and flew underneath canopies and through trees and places where you can't fly. And that was a thrill. And I could do all the aerobatic maneuvers that the G-forces in a real airplane would kill me. But in a drone, no big deal. So I loved that. And there was a YouTube community about it. And I've always been a technical guy, always fascinated by technology. And what I wanted to do was participate in the YouTube world. I started a drone channel. I mean, I was 72 years old at the time. I was no spring chicken, so I named it Old Guy and a Drone. That's where the old guy came from. Old Guy and a Drone. Had the same logo I have now. The old sour face with the cigar sticking out of his mouth. And I had a drone channel, but the potential audience for the drone community is much smaller than the potential audience for people that are overweight and want to get healthy, as you can imagine. But I was happy. I managed to acquire about 1,300 subs, which was a small channel, but still adequate. And I had live streams, and I did more technical stuff. I had workshops, and I did 4-hour live streams with 4 cameras on the workbench where I was actually building and soldering some of this equipment, machinery, and racing drones myself, programming these things and talking about the technical aspects. Then I would make videos that catered to my cinematography side of me that loved beautiful cinematography mixed with great music. And I see for some reason my live stream, it's not me, it's got to be, it's coming and going a little bit. And I think that's Spectrum because I'm monitoring my upload. There, now it's back. So we get these little blurbs of Spectrum doing something strange, but yeah, it's back now. I could make beautiful videos with beautiful music, almost like aerial ballets in a lot of instances, with the recordings, high definition recordings, like being there from inside these drones flying. I loved it. I had a great time until I hurt my head. And I won't get into that, but let's just say that, in the gym, I overdid it. I passed out. I ended up with brain surgery, and it screwed up my balance and things for a while, and I stopped flying the drones because I couldn't do it. It would make me fabulously dizzy to try to wear those goggles and go through that stuff. And a couple of years, I gave it a year. I stopped putting videos up on the drone channel, and I had the YouTube channel sitting there, Old Guy in a Drone. No new videos, but there were still people watching. I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of old videos and hundreds of hours of live streams. Incredible amount of content up there. It's still there. If you go on the Old Guy Carnivore channel and just start dialing back into the videos I've posted, you'll get back far enough where you'll find all the drone stuff. And that's why I still have some drone guys, like Chris Hope came in earlier, that still follow me today. And some of them are doing the carnivore thing, and they've become great friends of mine and have known me longer than most of you. But as I recovered from that head injury, and I had been keto the whole time, and I used to talk about keto on the drone channel, I had discovered carnivore. And while I was busy putting on weight while I was recovering from my head injury, I really started to do a deep dive into carnivore and decided, aha. And that's when I came up with all of the final epiphanies and light bulb moments that my problem was indeed addiction. And complete abstinence from carbs is going to be the only way to stop it. And that was the best thing in my life that I ever discovered. I can't say that I am the discoverer of that. No, I mean, it should have been obvious to everybody. But for me, I discovered that the reason I had been failing for a lifetime on diets, even though I knew how to do it, I did it, I lost the weight, but always fell off and always gained it back, was I never cured the addiction. So I set out on a path to figure out, how the hell do you cure an addiction? Is it even possible? And I came up with some techniques and some methods, which is what I talk about today, that worked for me. So that to me is when you find something that has eluded you your whole life and you finally find something that actually works for you, you want to spread it around. So I gave it a year. And then I said, after a year of this, I was doing pretty good. I had lost all the weight I wanted to lose. I was working out at the gym, a lot more than I work out now. Something I probably need to get back to, but we'll talk about that another time. I mean, I work out a little at home, but nothing like I used to work out. I mean, those pictures of me with my shirt off look a lot better, I think, then from a year ago than the ones today might look. I think I probably would look a little skinnier today, but that's neither here nor there. I'm still healthy. I can still do 25 push-ups. I can still do 100 deep knee bends. You know, I can still do all that shit. I'm in great shape and strong, but I don't have the bulk in my muscles that I had a year ago. And you got to work hard to keep that up. And I've been trying to figure out over the course of the last year just where the right compromise might be. You don't need to carry a lot of muscle around that you never use. That's overhead. But on the other hand, you do need an adequate amount of muscle or you can't live. You need a certain amount of strength, especially in your legs as you get older. That's where most old people really get in trouble, is they have trouble getting out of a chair or can't walk up or down a step without falling. So yes, you do need to keep those muscles. And I'm trying to find out just how much work you really should do. Because anytime you have to do something you don't enjoy a lot, tendency is you're not going to do it. So I'm working on that. And I think maybe over the next year or so, I'll be experimenting with that and try to come up with some real answers for somebody who's older. Not for some young kid that wants to compete in bodybuilding competitions, but for somebody that's older, that wants to make sure they have the muscular strength that they need to not hurt themselves, but isn't looking to run marathons and compete in Mr. Universe contests. It's important for older people to carry a little more subcutaneous fat around than younger people. A 90-year-old who's going for 5% body fat is going to kill himself. So there's so many considerations, and age is a major one. So I'm trying to, through experimenting on me, trying to figure out what might be best. And, you guys are along for the ride. So after a year of figuring out that I think I figured something out here that's worth knowing, and missing being on YouTube, missing doing these live streams like this, missing filming things and making videos and stuff, because I'm passionate about that as a hobby as well. I said, and looking at the wealth of carnivore videos and some of the crap I was seeing, I said, I think there's a reason for me to do this stuff. I have a point of view that most don't have. There are no other carnivores my age doing what I want to do. And that's how I started this. And that's why I called it Old Guy Carnivore. And that's why I took off out of the gate so fast, because all of the 50, 60, especially 70 and 80-year-old people out there who had heard about a low-carb or keto diet couldn't identify with any of these young athletic doctors and influencers. I said, I'll give them an old fart to identify with. And they did, and they came pouring in droves. And it was a good call. It was a good call. And even to this day, right now, there is no other carnivore YouTuber anywhere near my age that is as prolific. And if you don't know what that means, it means does as much shit, puts out as much content as I do on YouTube. The closest ones are 20 years younger than me. Big difference. I don't know. Once you get to be in your late 70s and you look back at the late 50s, you may say, well, he's only 20 years older than me. Let me tell you something, my friend. There's as much difference in that 20 years as there is between a 30-year-old and a 10-year-old. It's enormous, the difference. It's enormous. So that's why I do what I do. And that's how I got in it. And I said that answer wasn't going to take a long time, and I lied. I'm sorry, because I think it's impossible for me to answer any question without a lot of words involved.
And that's why everyone.
Sorry. And then we got another couple of super chats here from Ashjorn says, dummies will watch YouTube on how to get fat fast. Yeah, they'll do that, Ashjorn. They'll do that under the auspices of how to lose weight. Yes, just eat 6 servings of healthy whole grains and bagels every day and you'll lose weight. Yeah. Well, how come I'm gaining weight on that? Well, you must be doing something wrong. You must be doing something wrong. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. I'm listening to you. Click. They don't have an Ellen. That's why. Yeah. Oh, Ashjorn, you got it. You got it. When you got an Ellen, you got a distinct advantage. And it's distinct advantage. Yes, you do. Thank you so much for that. So, Ellen, we're
You asked one.
a little over time, so we won't. So just keep track of all the questions I didn't get to answer.
Oh, we got them all but one. So.
Oh, okay. Well, give it to me.
It's actually from Ashjorn.
Oh, okay. Give it to me.
He asked one without a super chat.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. That's great. That's great.
An interesting one. My cat doesn't want the crap we feed him, but he likes tuna. Is he addicted?
No, he's a carnivore.
There you go. I agree.
He's a carnivore. He's a carnivore instinctually. Yep. He's a meat eater. He doesn't eat plants. You don't see cats out there in your landscaping nibbling on leaves, do you? Has anybody ever seen your cat or dog nibbling on the leaves from your philodendron bush out front? No. They're digging their nose into a dead squirrel somewhere, or a rat, or a grub, or a worm, or anything that's meat and protein. Did you ever see a baby that doesn't reject vegetables the first time you try to feed them?
No, that's true.
No, I don't want that shit, man. You give a baby a piece of meat, a bone. That's what Ken Berry did. He gave his little girl when she was first born. The first food she ever ate, she was gnawing on a rib bone. Had it clean as a whistle. Gummed it to death, for God's sakes. That's what we're supposed to eat. We come with the programming. We know what we're supposed to eat. Nobody has to teach us what to eat. We come pre-programmed. Our operating system is built in just like the Dell computer you buy at Best Buy. You plug it in and turn it on. It comes complete with an operating system. You try to feed it shit that isn't compatible with its operating system, you get the blue screen of death and you're standing in line at the Geek Squad wondering why your computer doesn't work anymore. Well, this is what life is. There's a reason some of us are carnivores, some of us are herbivores, and some of us are what they call omnivores, which is like moderate people in politics haven't made up their mind quite yet. But the majority are one or the other. And carnivorous animals have certain hardware. They have certain types of digestive tracts, certain types of teeth, certain physiologies, certain pHs of stomach acid, certain gut biomes, a certain number of stomachs, either have a hind gut or not. They either eat their own feces or they don't. There are so many different ways to tell a carnivore from a herbivore that any attempt that the so-called vegetarians and vegans do to try to convince us we're really herbivores are laughable. It's just absurd. It's laughable. But people don't know. People don't understand. So yes, you want to see your dog go nuts? Have a big steak and throw all the scraps at him with the fat. Just all the shit that you didn't eat. Throw it at your dog. Your dog will devour that stuff like it's the first food he's seen in his life. Not because you taught him, but because that is food. And in his dog brain, he's going, thank you, God, thank you. It took you all this time to figure this out, did it? You dumb son. Okay. You know what I'm getting at. So yeah, absolutely. And of course, cats love fish. So many cats and even humans love fish because so many of the human migrations that happened over the eons, at least the last 20,000 years, where most of the migrating did happen. Out of Europe, out of Africa, or not out of Europe, went out of Africa, India, but out of Africa, across Siberia, across the land bridge that connected what now is Alaska with Russia and Siberia, down the coast, down the west coast of the United States, following the coast, because that's where the food was. Seafood. All the way down into Central America, down into South America, where some of those people became the Incas, the tribes that we find. We find their ruins in Cholula in Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula. These were the early migrants, the American Indians that went east into the northern American territories. They are all descendants of those people that came across that land bridge that came through Russia and Siberia to get there. It all happened a certain way, and it's all explainable. And the relics that we keep digging up have given us the answer. And now with every new relic, we find more support. And every once in a while, we find something that doesn't seem to fit in. And in those cases, sometimes we find out maybe we had misunderstood something. So we change it a little bit. And that's what learning is all about. You know, develop an idea, keep testing, keep looking, keep trying to find out that you were wrong. And when you find out you were wrong, figure out why, change your hypothesis a little bit, adjust it to the new information that you know is right. And that way you'll always be on the right track and you'll never be married to a misconception or a lie. Nobody lives that way. Nobody even thinks that way anymore. Some scientists do, not the general public. So I hope that answers your question. The answer to your question after all of those words was yes. Your cat likes fish.
Yes.
What?
I was going to say yes. I don't think animals get addicted to food.
No, they're not addicted. Well, we're addicted to food like we're addicted to air. It's not an addiction. An addiction causes a dopamine rush. This is not a neurotransmitter issue. This is necessary for life. Are you addicted to air? You can't live without it, but you're not an addict. You know, it's not like you sit around all day thinking about it and craving it. When you breathe, it doesn't give you an adrenaline hit or a serotonin rush. There's no imperative. You have a natural full-time imperative to keep breathing or you die. It doesn't need any additional push. You don't have to be reminded to breathe. And the natural food we eat, we've developed over however long the changes in our internal physiology took to happen. Because at one point, we were mostly herbivores. Our ancestors were. If you're religious and don't believe in evolution and don't believe that we evolved from apes, then I can't make any sense to you. And believe what you want. I think it's great. If you believe it, it works for you, then that's your reality. Everybody's entitled to their own reality. But if you want to know how it worked step by step, every step of the way, see how this changed into that and where and why and what evidence we have, I can show you that. I can show you that even though you protested it doesn't really exist and I made it all up because that's what your apologists told you to say. And that becomes in the realm of propaganda. And there can never be any intellectual discussions when you get to that level of unreality. So I could be wrong. And every day I look to prove myself wrong because I don't want to be giving out wrong things. I want to talk about things that I know are correct. And after all this time, there are certain core things I believe that I have proven so far beyond a shadow of a doubt to myself that I have confidence when I talk to them. And if somebody disagrees with me, it's easier for me to, I'll never change their mind. It's easier for me to just give them the freedom to believe whatever they want and remain friends and not try to change their mind, but continue to try to make that why understandable for as many people as are willing to listen or are still interested. And that's it. And on that note, Ellen, I think maybe I need to stop now. What do you think? Oh,
I think we
I'm
are.
getting tired, man. I'm getting tired.
You must be tired. You have been on fire going nonstop since we started, and we're already 15 minutes over.
Oh, wow. And, I'm not supposed to have this kind of energy as a 77-and-a-half-year-old man who only eats
No, you're not.
2 meals a day and never eats any nutritious fruits and vegetables and whole grains either. I'm not supposed to be able to have a brain that works like this. I'm supposed to be, at my age, I should be looking at, interviewing at nursing homes right now to find a place where.
You know what they're going to do? What they do to Donald Trump? See, they're going to accuse you of being on the Adderall. Because
whatever they're going to. Well, listen, it's not the first time in my life I would have been accused of something that I absolutely didn't do, and probably not the last time.
But we know that's not the case. We know
that's true. That's true.
We know why.
Oh, Ask Shorn is back again. Holy cow! Oxygen is overrated. We can survive without it for 4 minutes. So why bother? If you can survive without oxygen for 4 minutes, you're in pretty good shape. Most people will lose consciousness after a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And your cells will start dying shortly thereafter. When you think about it, that's very scary, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That you're, at any given instant, you're 2 minutes away from death if something interrupts your air supply. I mean, it's a scary thought. That's why we don't think about it. We never think about that. We just take it for granted. We breathe. Ask anybody that came near drowning sometimes, couldn't get to the surface of the water and started to feel the effects of no air. And ask them how scary that was. So you're right, Ashore. You're absolutely right. We have a full few minutes of life left if we stop breathing. He's a smart guy. Another question. How long does it take to oxalate? How long does it take oxalate to affect the oxalate is not a metabolic consideration. Oxalate is not something that I think even has to be discussed in conversations about the metabolism. Oxalate is a poison that just accumulates places in your body and causes you problems. It accumulates in your joints, in your kidneys, but it's not involved in cellular biology. So that's a quick answer to that question. Okay. I think we will.
There we go.
Yeah, get a little traveling music, little blues going on here, and it's been a great day today. Been a great day, and I'm going to continue on the vein today. No politics for me. No more news. I'm going to watch airport movies until I can't find any more of them today. So I should be in a joyous mood tomorrow morning, Ellen. You're going to love me tomorrow morning.
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
After a day in Nobel.
Chat.
I think this version of me is probably better for me to be this way than to be always complaining about moron commenters and things like that, and bitter and complaining. Some people found that entertaining, and I can be real good at that too. But for my own peace of mind, stress levels, and reality, this is much better. I promise I'll lose my temper once in a while, guys. Don't think I've gone off on some happy pills or not, but I'm just trying to make life less stressful, because it's one life I got. I want to enjoy it to the max, because if I don't, then I'm really doing myself a disservice and not helping you guys either. So, Ellen, thanks for coming. Say goodbye real quick.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, Ellen, and I will see you first thing in the morning, and that leaves just me and late. Holy cow, where the hell's the time? We went 15 minutes over this morning. It's going to get to the point, my friends, where I'm going to just put all this studio shit in my bedroom, turn it on in the morning, and just spend the entire day there. That way I can save a lot of steps. So, whatever's left of it, just take the rest of the day off, my friends. Thanks for coming. And eat meat.